Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chuchu Reviews, the show where I take 4 random, unrelated albums, and I stick them in a blender, and then I review them, I rate them, and I rank them. Simplicity achieved. 3 of the records this week were pulled from the comments, so if you have an album you'd like to see featured, why not drop a suggestion, and who knows, you might just get lucky. So let's have a look at this week's combatants in alphabetical order. First we have Moon Music by Coldplay from 2024, which is my own personal pick for inclusion. Next we have Downward is Heavenward by Hum from 1998, which was nominated by Tailtube. Then we have The Garden by John Foxx from 1981, which was nominated by Steve. Finally we have For You by Prince from 1978, which was nominated by Bring Back Tombstone. So now the battle lines have been drawn, let's be complete rankers and rank up a storm. This is Chuchu Reviews. Coming in last place this week we have For You by Prince from 1978, which was the iconic pop, funk and rock star's debut LP. And it's not good. Of course, Prince would go on to make many great records and be notably innovative. I mean, who doesn't like Purple Rain or Sign of the Times? But this debut is nowhere near his best work. It's an unimaginative, paint-by-numbers funk album that is startlingly devoid of memorable hooks or choruses. The synth textures are also super cheesy. They sound like something you'd expect to hear walking around the 1980s shopping mall. I mean, every track on this LP kind of sounds like a remix version of the Casino Night Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog. And then you have Prince's voice, which I find to be very grating on this particular record, as he perpetually sings in this high register falsetto style. He sounds like a squirrel that has been repeatedly booted in the scrotum. So yeah, I really don't like this album very much at all. In fact, the only even remotely interesting songs come at the tail end of the record, via the gentle acoustics of So Blue and the rampaging electric guitar lines of closer I'm Yours. Otherwise, Prince's debut LP is a bit of a dull wasteland. Now I have something for you, Prince. One single, full, bright, shiny star. Now you can go be the sheriff in shitty Debusville. Next up we have Downward is Heavenward by the American alt-rock band Hum from 1998, which was the band's 4th LP. And here we have an amalgamation of alt-rock and nu metal that has a production style that is unmistakably from the late 90s. And that's not a good thing, as heavy-set rock records from that era tended to sound like shit. And although this Hum LP is far from the worst late 90s production offender, it still doesn't sound great. The guitars sound sludgy and unappetizing, and the drum engineering is pretty dire at times, sounding as if the Sticksman has a kit made out of old pots and pans. So far, so bad, and the record doesn't really get off to a great start either. The opening metal ballad, I Love the Cheetah, is tepid at best and doesn't leave a great first impression. Likewise, Coming Home clatters along a well-worn nu metal furrow but without doing anything interesting. Plus the singer Matt Talbot sounds really bad on the track, like he's consistently off-key or something. The following, If You Are to Bloom, rounds off a Duff opening trilogy with a tune that has some interesting mortality-themed lyrics, but then shoots itself in the foot by layering a ton of that nasty guitar sludge over everything. While the closer, The Scientist, tries to end with a rocking bang but merely ends up as a blustery cookie-cutter offering. So it seems like Hum might be careening towards a dumpster fire here, but actually that's not the case. Because while Downward is Heavenward has a very shaky beginning and ending, there's a whole stretch in the middle of the record where it starts to cook. Miss Lazarus is the first track to mercifully lay off the heaviness and instead forks over a none more REM sounding jangle tune, which is like a breath of fresh air after going skinny dipping in a sewage tank. And while we're all still aboard the REM train, the Inuit Promise nicely captures the spirit of those early IRS jangle punk albums, which is obviously a very good thing. Afternoon with Axolotls has a relaxing shoegazy vibe to its steadily grinding dirge. Green to Me carries on that sort of dreamily cathartic atmosphere too, despite its more energetic thrust. While Apollo is a beautiful low ballad that uses space and minimalism to pour more emotion out of the desolate sounding void. So yeah, despite its flaws, Downward is Heavenward ultimately manages to right its ship with a pretty great and atmospheric stretch of central songs that feel steeped in a gentle form of melancholy. I think the record could have been much better with a lighter or more measured production, but the LP was still an enjoyable listen. 3.5 stars. Next up we have Moon Music by Coldplay, which was released a scant few months ago right here in 2024 and is the band's 10th LP. So, Moon Music, eh? Who doesn't like a set of good tunes to listen to when you flash your ass at your old secondary school French teacher from the window of your mate's Ford Fiesta? Hehe. Seriously though, an immediate red flag does go up, as the blurb around this LP states that it is connected to the band's previous album, Music of the Spheres. As if that's somehow a good thing. I mean, hey guys, you shouldn't be touting that connection so much as hunting down every copy of that wretched record and burning them all to ashes with prejudice. So it comes as a rather delightful surprise to find that this is actually not bad. Not bad at all. In fact, I think that Moon Music is easily the best Coldplay album since Milo Zolotto from all the way back in 2011. And what we have here is a highly atmospheric and wiltingly autumnal record that mostly delivers gentle, super melodic ballads or cathartically ambient tunes while interspersing them with the odd nicely engaging pop hit. And the band have pretty much nailed it. The feeling of contentment or being a little sad because you can't process the beauty that sometimes fleets through the world is palpable on this LP. The string-kissed bookending ballads Moon Music and One World demonstrate this nicely, instantly feeling like a warm hug and a hot cup of tea on a drizzly day. All My Love is great, with its Beatlesy piano balladry going stratospheric once the full band come in for the climax of the song. Jupiter also has a beautiful delicacy with its acoustic guitar-led tenderness. The more ambient tracks such as Rainbow or the synth-led I Turner also work well, adding some expertly judged atmospheric texturing to the record. As for the more direct pop material, I find it to be way more interesting than the pap on Music of the Spheres. Feels Like I'm Falling in Love is slick and catchy, with one of those embarrassingly euphoric choruses that only Coldplay would try to unironically attempt. While Pray is a lot of fun with its bombastic string riff and parade of guest stars, including a notable rap section by Little Sims. It feels like what the BTS collaboration My Universe from Music of the Spheres should have been, instead of being some kind of medically certified ear rot disease. So yeah, the only tune here that falls a little flat is the throwaway mainstream fluff of Good Feelings. But otherwise, Coldplay have pulled off a really great return to form with Moon Music. What can I tell you? I really quite enjoy this record. 4 stars. Coming in first place this week and taking home the Chuchu Review's gold medal, we have The Garden by John Foxx, which was his second solo LP. Foxx of course was the original singer of Ultravox, but left after the band's third LP in order to pursue a solo career. Ironically, as soon as he left, Ultravox blew up massive, making his replacement Midjure an icon of 1980s synthpop. I wonder how poor old John Foxx felt about that. Anyway, although this album was not nearly as successful as Ultravox's Vienna, it still flirts with the same kind of static, cold, arty European synthpop. The record is crammed full of fantastic sounding glacial synths that feel like cold marble floors, grand government buildings in central Berlin and perpetually overcast London skies. It's a really atmospheric sound that's as cold and distant as it is catchy and mesmeric. And the quality is also totally on point, with each track bringing a top drawer slice of starkly entertaining art pop to the table. Highlights on a consistent and stylistically cohesive LP includes the rather awesome opening single, Europe After Rain, which kicks the record off with a bang, its grooving bass line, ethereal backing vocals and cold piano lines easily evoking the depressing feel of Westminster on a particularly damp day. Systems of Romance is great with its shimmering rock and bombastic walls of choral backing vocals that gives the track an epic feel. Dancing Like a Gun kicks ass with its icy Blade Runner synths, juttering energy and cool instrumental outro. Night Suit has a great rhythmic bass pulse that snakes through the track's maze of jagged guitar shrieks and static synths, while Walk Away has a frantic glowering thrust that sounds both badass and kind of relentlessly desperate at the same time. But yeah, you really can't put a toe wrong here. From the atmospheric texturing of Paternoster, to the catchy vocal lines of Fusion/Fission, to the mysterious vibes of the lengthy closing title track, The Garden, it's all really great and atmospherically compelling stuff. 4.5 stars. And that's another episode of Chuchu Reviews in the bag. Of course, I know you'd rank these records differently, so why not sound off in the comments and tell me which one would have won for you? And maybe drop a nomination while you're there. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and all that other kind of YouTube jazz. Make sure to take care of yourself, but most importantly, just keep on ranking.